Today, we're not going to be only talking about all the parts inside this $1,000 gaming PC, benchmarking the heck out of it, but I also got to give this away to somebody and I need your help. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome to Zach's Tech Turf. For today's video, Micro Center and I are teaming up to give away this $1,000 gaming PC, and all of the giveaway details are at the end of the video. And if you're new here and you want to see other gaming PC build guide videos just like this one, then hit the subscribe button down below and also that notification bell. That way you never miss an episode. But yeah, let's check this build out. Before jumping straight into it though, we absolutely have to shout out Micro Center for making this build and giveaway possible. Not only is their store the #1 spot to find the best CPU motherboard combo deals, not only do they have an incredible selection of parts, especially for an in-person store, but they're also doing a ton of PC giveaway events around our YouTube community, just like this one today. Micro Center links for everything we talk about today are linked down in the description. Alright, so jumping straight into the parts list, we have our CPU, and what I decided to go with today is the Ryzen 5 3600. The 3600 is a 6-core and 12-threaded monster that boosts up to 4.2 GHz directly out of the box, and at Micro Center, it only costs $145 when paired with a compatible motherboard. Before moving on to that motherboard though, we have to talk about the Ryzen 3 3300X. The 3300X at $120 will provide you with pretty much the same results in terms of just gaming, but if you're interested in utilizing those extra 2 cores and 4 threads, then I would still recommend the Ryzen 5 3600 for if you're like a live streamer or something. Moving on to that motherboard, we get to the decision that I typically don't make, and that's the MSI B450 Tomahawk, which costs us only $100 with that CPU mobile combo that I just talked about. The Tomahawk is one of the higher end B450 options out there, as it's rocking a plethora of port options and very nice VRM heatsinks for overclocking. Typically in these situations, I recommend just getting the cheapest B450 motherboard that you can find, but since I was spending Micro Center's money, I figured I would splurge a bit, and then whoever ends up winning this PC will be able to overclock it at a pretty decent rate because of this higher end B450 motherboard. Moving on, we get to the RAM, and here I chose the Gel, not sure how to pronounce this to be honest, but either way, this is an RGB kit that looks pretty nice, and it's 16 GB clocked at 3200 MHz. Following that was our graphics card, and here's where I had to debate a bit, but in the end I decided on the $420 EVGA RTX 2060 Super SC Ultra Edition, and honestly guys, this really just comes down to that new NVIC encoder, which a lot of us are actually taking advantage of these days. I was also debating about getting the 5700 XT, which may actually give you better performance in some games just straight up, but the fact that these RTX cards are packing some pretty useful features that I'm actually using in my day-to-day life outside of just ray tracing, such as RTX audio, which is what I'm currently using for my live streams, and that new NVIC encoder. If you have any live streaming aspirations, then I would recommend an RTX card in this situation. Getting into our less interesting parts though, we have the SSD. I just decided on this Crucial MX500 500GB 2.5-inch model. If you're shopping around at both Micro Center and online retailers such as Amazon and Newegg, you can probably find a better M.2 drive at this price, but for this giveaway, I was limited to just Micro Center, and this SSD will be perfectly fine for our build. The power supply is up next, and this is the only decision that I'm not happy with. This is the Thermaltake Smart Series 500-watt unit, which is indeed fine if you pair it with an aesthetic cable extension like I did, but if you're not, I would really recommend a PSU with all black cables. When I was originally parting out this build, I had a PSU selected with all black cables, but by the time Micro Center rep got back to me, it actually sold out, so I couldn't pick it, and then I was locked into the price of every other part, so this Thermaltake 500-watt series PSU is the only one that I could afford in this situation. And finally, for our last part from Micro Center, we have the case, and now this is one of my favorite choices on the list. This is the Cooler Master NR600, which is actually my first time using it. The NR600 is rocking a super clean and simple all black design, which you guys know is my favorite, but most importantly, it's sporting a full mesh front panel for about as good of an airflow as you can expect out of a case. There's also a ton of room for cable management in the back, which I obviously didn't take advantage of because I almost never spend the time to properly cable manage, and the side panel glass is slightly tinted, but not overkill in my opinion. So that's the $1,000 parts list of everything that we bought directly from Micro Center. I'll show the full parts list in just a second, but just like always, I did include some optional aesthetic only parts in here, and I'm not going to count that towards the total because you don't need these to get the same performance. The first part up is the CPU cooler, and shout out to Deepcool Gamerstorm for sending this one over. This is the Captain X AIO water cooler that's rocking a 240mm radiator. It comes with all black fans, but I decided to swap them out for a different Deepcool product. These are the RF120s, and I actually used 5 of them for this build. Here you can see that we have 3 of the fans up front, 2 of them are in front of the radiator, and that way they all look the same, and then we have 2 in the back as well, and these are for exhaust. In my opinion, this is a very typical and cookie cutter option of how to set up 5 fans in this case. Mounting the radiator up front allows all the fresh, cool air to go through the radiator first to keep the CPU nice and cool. Having 3 intake and 2 exhaust fans is a nice balance to keep the airflow moving evenly, and then I also like having one of the exhaust fans being upward to keep the dust from settling on the top of the case. And finally, the last aesthetic part I went with were these easy DIY sleeved cables. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't have went with these if I went with an all black cable PSU, but these cables only cost an extra 30 bucks and really tie our white and black and red theme all together quite nicely. And with all that being said, here's what the final parts list is looking like. With the Micro Center prices before taxes, we're actually pretty well under the $1,000, but with taxes we'll be right around there. And then once again, this price does not include our optional RGB parts in there. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying those quick 15-second montages that my editor has been chopping up, but now it's time for my favorite part of the video, not the giveaway. Like I said, that'll be at the end of the video, but now it's time for some benchmarking. First up was Fortnite like usual, also got another kill while benchmarking, which is oddly enough becoming the usual, but yeah, in 1080p and low settings with far view distance, I averaged a ridiculous 268 frames per second. For our last non-1080p and ultra setting game, we had Counter-Strike. I don't think anyone plays this outside of low settings, to be honest, and in 1080p and low, I got an average of 314 FPS. Next up was Rainbow Six Siege. As usual, I tested this with the benchmarking tool, but you're seeing some actual gameplay footage, and in 1080p with ultra settings, I got an average of 240 FPS. Getting into our tougher to run games was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and in 1080p and ultra settings, I still got above our target 144 FPS target mark with 155 FPS. Following that was Modern Warfare. This was tested in normal multiplayer, not Warzone, because that's just an inconsistent pain to deal with mess, and in 1080p and ultra settings, I averaged 109 FPS. Gears 5 was up after that, and in 1080p and ultra settings, I got 86 FPS, which is pretty impressive for a graphically demanding AAA title like this. Another AAA title that I tested was Borderlands 3, also in 1080p and ultra, and here the system averaged 71 frames per second. And finally, the last game that I benchmarked was Forza Horizon 4 in 1080p and ultra, and I got a 125 FPS average. Forza Horizon 4 has been our new go-to game over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ZachsTechTurf, by the way. We've been running some online convoys with a full squad lately, and it's been a ton of fun. Make sure you're following me over there because I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 PM Eastern time. So as you can see, this $1,000 gaming PC can certainly handle any game in 1080p and ultra settings, and honestly, I would recommend boosting it up to 1440p if you have a good enough monitor. But now that the benchmarks are over, it's time for the giveaway, and please pay attention because this is not a normal giveaway. To start, the person that I'm looking to give this away to needs to fit some specific requirements, and the first one, which is mandatory, is that they need to be somehow affected by the current world events going on. This could mean that they recently got laid off because of our economy, or maybe they actually got infected by the virus themselves, or maybe they're just working super hard because they're an essential worker. They just need to somehow be affected. The second requirement is that I prefer them not to have a baller gaming PC already. I'm really looking for someone that doesn't already have one, or who's rocking it like an older system, or maybe even just a console. And the third is that this giveaway is only for the United States. I'm very sorry, but I'm going to be covering the shipping costs myself, and it's already going to be really expensive to ship this just here in the States. If you know someone that would fit these requirements perfectly, then please head on over to the giveaway link down in the description and fill out the very short Google form that I created. You're not allowed to nominate yourself, by the way, and this form just has some basic questions about why you are nominating the person and how they've been affected. The very last question on that Google form is to link an unlisted YouTube video of you just filming yourself explaining why you're nominating this person. I understand that this is a lot to ask, but I feel like by adding the Google form and the video submission, I'm gonna weed out some of those people that are just gonna try to manipulate the system and just try and win a free gaming PC from me. So it's not going to be hard to tell who's legitimate and who's not, so that's all I'm asking. The unlisted YouTube videos will not go out to anybody unless you give them the link, which is what I'm asking. So it's not like you're gonna get any views from it. And it doesn't have to be a super edited video or anything. Just hold your phone up and talk for like 15 to 20 seconds about why you're nominating that person, and you'll be good to go. So best of luck to all of you that are nominating someone for this giveaway. I've actually never given away a full PC system on my channel before, so I'm excited to get this shipped out to somebody. But even if you're not nominating someone for this giveaway, I hope this video provided you with some value if you're thinking about building a $1,000 gaming PC for yourself in the future. Well, that wraps up my $1,000 gaming PC build guide, the benchmarks, and the giveaway for it. As always, drop a comment down below about what you thought of this system or what you would personally do to change it. And after that, feel free to head on over to one of these two videos if you haven't seen them yet. Definitely hit that subscribe button and make sure you follow me over on Twitch because, like I keep saying, that's where the real fun has been happening.